Welcome to the 615 Sessions podcast here live at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. We got the GOAT. We got Jim Wyatt of TennesseeTitans.com hanging out here with us. Of course, you know, Jimmy, J. Wyatt Sports on Twitter, on Instagram for all your training camp updates. Jimmy, I appreciate you taking some time.
Glad to be here, Buck. Appreciate you having me on.
So with everything that's gone on leading up to a game week, there's been a lot of different things that have made an appearance in the observations on TennesseeTitans.com. But the highlight, I think, Jimmy, has been the show that Calvin Ridley continues to put on here. Not maybe the best day for the offense writ large today. Yeah, shorter practice. I know that Nick Holtz was on them a little bit about the crispness and the energy early on, but Calvin Ridley, I think, has been the main attraction of anything else that's been going on out here.
Yeah, I mean, he's so different than really anything we've seen around here since I've covered the team. I mean, we've seen fast, and then there's Calvin Ridley fast. You know, we all shoot those videos, you know, in the 7-on-7 sometimes, the individual drills, and sometimes it's tough to keep the screen on him because he gets out of his break so quick and is so explosive. He's been consistently good. You know, Nick Westbrook-Akina has been really good. You know, Kyle Phillips has been really good. I think Tyler Boyd has really settled in and has been good. Did I mention Kyle Phillips or Mason Kinsey? Which one of those two? So Mason Kinsey's been good. So, but one thing about Ridley is he's different. He's fast. You know, he's still getting on the same page with Will Levis as far as the deep ball goes. But he brings something different to this team, something different to this franchise than probably at any point since I've covered him. This is year 26.
Really, at any point? So because, you know, this wide receiver history, at least in the Titans era of football, has been, we'll call it checkered.
Right.
And having a couple of different guys who have been notable out here, whether it's Derek Mason many years ago or A.J. Brown more recently, or, I mean, even practice Julio Jones was different than game Julio Jones, and he was definitely towards the end of his career. But what is it about Ridley that separates him to you?
I think just his explosiveness and his burst.
It's so sudden.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, and those are the same guys I was going to mention: Derek Mason and A.J. Brown, and even Drew Bennett to some degree would line up and just, you know, he wasn't a speedster, but he knew how to get open. There are some guys who have had their moments as Titans receivers, but he is just like, he's from Alabama. He's built different. That's what they say down there, and he is built different, and how that translates when the season starts, we'll see. But he's in an offense that I think will be able to take advantage of his skill set.
Speaking of built different from Bama, J.C. Latham has also been a talking point. He did the radio show today, Jimmy, and we were talking. Brad Hopkins did the interview with us, so we had at least a little smarter perspective on offensive line play. And just the way that it's not been seamless, nor do I expect it to be seamless. Rookie offensive linemen struggle no matter where they're drafted and how good they are. But it has not been nearly the talking point that all of us, at least on my side of things, Jimmy, that I thought it might be with the transition from right tackle to left tackle, because he's never been a right tackle since he's been here in camp, and that you've seen the dividends of that specified work continue, even as they're trying to get guys rep swing, guard, all these other places where they're trying to work it out. That left side has been concrete basically since the offseason program.
Yeah, I think so. Now it's different. Now once you start playing games, if those guys get exposed a little bit in the games, we know what the conversation is going to be. So, you know, you got the 49ers this week. You got the Seahawks coming here the following week.
Happy game week, by the way.
Yeah, thank goodness, finally here. But you've got to prove it now going against somebody else. I say this about Latham, and you talk to him. It's hard to believe this kid's 21 years old. Just how mature he is, how he carries himself. You know, just the extra work he puts in on the practice field. And then something yesterday, and I wrote about it in my observations. I mean, there was Jeffrey Simmons, a little bit of a pain in the rear to practice against. He talks. He is a physical guy who pushes the limit.
He's a mean trash talker, too. Jimmy. It's not funny. It's mean.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to put up with that crap if you're lining up across from him. And there was a play yesterday where he got tangled up with Skoronski, and he kind of gave him a little push. And then Cushenberry came in there to defend Skoronski, and then he got in his grill. And then here comes Latham, who's not going to back down from anybody. Like, he's the guy he got tangled up with Simmons a couple of times a week or so ago that sparked a brawl. He's not afraid to – he's not going to back down or let anybody get bullied around him. And just think he's got a great maturity to him, a great toughness to him. And even if he's not perfect from the get-go, and I don't expect him to be perfect from the get-go, again, because he's a rookie playing left tackle, but I have no doubt he's going to be a really good player. Might be just with this guy what this franchise needed. I know Joe Alt was the conversation leading up to the draft. I think for this time and for this team, I think Latham could end up being the perfect pick there at left tackle.
And honestly, if you told me that Tavondre Sweat was the first-round pick and Latham the second-round pick, it would not stretch the imagination based on how he's performed. Those two rookies in particular, because that is the opportunity that's most available to be had at left tackle and interior defensive line. But it's been good to see them sharpening one another, because Jeff and Sweat are a pain in the ass to practice against. And to see the offensive line tested that way in the early going beyond preseason, which we expect to see them play, how many snaps to be determined, but Brian Callahan did say it was his intention to play some starters outside of Jeff Simmons, Harold Landry, and I believe Nick Vanette, the tight end.
Yeah, no Vanette and no Stonehouse.
No Stonehouse.
Yeah, so and of course a lot of guys that have consistently missed, whether it's Joey Woozy or certainly Jamal Adams, or of course Hop, guys that have been on that injured list throughout the last week of camp. They won't be out there, but expect to see everybody else and be kind of interested to gauge the progress.
So Sweat has been a big talking point of training camp. Obviously, he was on the radio show yesterday. We had to find a sweat-proof chair to make sure that nothing bad happened on a live stream camera. But with him in particular, Jimmy, Brian Callahan did speak today, but I want to go back to Sunday's press conference, Bert, if we could, with a clip from Brian Callahan talking about the way that as the offensive coordinator / play caller, or play caller rather, not offensive coordinator, as a head coach, what it is to go up against that guy on a weekly basis. This was the head coach, Brian Callahan, on Sunday. Did you give me the weight sign?
I think with a lot. He's just so big and so powerful, and he's got real pass rush wiggle for a guy his size. I mean, he can get on the edge and work it. He's got fast hands. And I feel it standing back there. I feel the push. Those are two, him and Jeff inside. Feel that. You watch him one-on-one, and you can win one-on-one, which a lot of times those big guys struggle to win one-on-one. But he's got enough quickness to do it. So I feel him in the middle of the defense, and I think that's a really good thing for us as a team. It's not great for me to practice.
So there's no question, Jimmy, that he can win one-on-one, and rarely will he have one-on-ones based on the way that we've seen him double-teamed already in the early going.
Yeah, and what we've seen from him is a guy who's still getting in shape, still learning his technique, still learning what it's like to play in the NFL against different competition. And if he's having success now, just think of how he's going to be once he does get in shape. I mean, I don't know what his weight is right now, but I bet he still has a little ways to go to get to where they want him to be. But he, doesn't seem like he's breathing as hard as he used to. It
takes his helmet off less.
Yeah, I mean, and he's not with these guys that is regularly getting in fights or anything like that. Even though he's a pain in the ass to deal with, he just works hard, wants to get better. He wants to be good. That's the thing, is with both Latham and Sweat. I mean, these guys are driven. They want to put in the work. They don't need people to motivate them. And I think that's been a great start to camp for both those guys.
Quandre Diggs comes in this week. We had the opportunity to catch up with him for the first time yesterday at a press conference, and how they'll work all these different kinds of defensive backs that they have now at their disposal into the mix. And Denard Wilson's scheme is going to be interesting. But there's no question that in Diggs they find a stabilizing force alongside Amani Hooker that lets Amani be that more versatile piece, while you can have more of the center field type of safety in Quandre Diggs to play on the back end and play the free safety style.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great asset to this team. I love the way I asked him a question yesterday that was just kind of trying to get a feel for where he feels like he fits in, and then I kind of ended it, where you think you are at this stage of your career, and I think he took offense to that a little bit, because he says there is no stage.
We played that audio today on the radio.
I think is a great answer, and I understand exactly where he's coming from. Yeah, he's 31 years old. There were a lot of safeties out there that had to wait to find a home, and he had to wait longer than most of them. There's still one guy out there, but he had to wait a while. And so I think he's got a chip on his shoulder himself. And the way he answers, he's coming here. He's always been a good player. He's continued to be a good player. 31's not that old. He's still got it. He's going to be.
Damn right 31's not that old. Let's go, Jimmy. Come on.
You're telling me. But so he's, he's a good fit for this team. And I think he's going to be a calming force in that secondary. He is very versatile. He can do a number of things. And what's good about him is, let's face it, this is a safety position that has guys in it that have been injured. You know, whether that's Jamal Adams, whether that's Elijah Molden, whether that's even Amani Hooker to some degree, and now he comes in and gives you more versatility, but also more insurance, and you can't be too good at that position. And I think that was a great get here late in the offseason.
You surprised they haven't laid off Arden's reps with the starters yet? I know nothing's official, and we're waiting for the league to make a suspension official, but Callahan's acknowledged they anticipate that.
Yeah.
It's been a weird thing to kind of see that play out.
Yeah, because you want to get other guys ready to play. And the unfortunate thing for Arden, again, assuming that he doesn't win his appeal,
right?
He's ramping himself up now to be in football condition. And then, unfortunately, if he's suspended, he's going to have to leave the team and be out of practice for 6 weeks, and then he'll have to ramp all the way back up again. That's the unfortunate part of it. It's, what is this, August the 8th? We're a month away from the season right now. I think at some point, you're getting the guys who are going to be helping you on September the 8th in Chicago more reps as we get closer to the season. And so I'll be curious to see when that transition takes place. You got the Seahawks coming here next week. So who needs to work against them? They all need to work, but you definitely want guys to be ready for the season.
Well, and I guess, the solution may not yet be on the roster, depending on how these things go, because as you said, we're still awaiting his appeals process. Danico Autry also out there waiting in the wind with his suspension for a similar allegation, we'll call it at this point, until the league makes anything officially official. But with Harrell and with Weaver and with, I know Jamal Adams can play some kind of a pass rush role as well. They have unconventional options at their disposal, Jimmy. I personally, if I was a Titans fan, I would want a little more security out there on the edge opposite Harold Landry.
I'm with you. Shane Ray's been pretty good.
Sure.
I have to admit that he's been good. And then the guy that the head coach bragged about today was Jalen Harrell.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen so much praise heaped on a rookie, and
rookie seventh rounder.
A rookie seventh rounder, and it's not just blowing smoke. I mean, when I do these observations, he's regular guy right down in there that I notice in practices. He's been getting after it. I think they think he can play against the run, and I think they definitely think he can get after the quarterback. So I think they've got to be encouraged there, but the key looming suspension, if that in fact does hold true, is going to be a blow to this team.
Well, of course, Jimmy Wyatt will be at the stadium on Saturday with pregame coverage. Are you guys doing the News Channel 4 or the WSMV?
I don't know. I don't think that happened. I haven't heard yet. I know I've got my Titans. We're going to be in the booth at Titans Radio.
That's right.
With Rhett Bryan before the game on Saturday. I was talking to him a little bit ago just about topics that we can touch on. So we've got that coming up. I think the Channel 4 starts when the regular season starts. But I'm looking forward to being back at the stadium and seeing fans back at the stadium, seeing starters play in the preseason.
Yeah, I'll take that.
And then we know now once you get to a week-to-week deal with games at the end of each week, these weeks start flying by. You'll be getting ready for Christmas here before too long.
Don't wish it away, Jimmy.
Yeah, I know. Believe me. I know. I was talking to Sam Phelan today just about everything that he's got going in his life, and he's trying to hurry up to get here. And I'm like, hey, you get older. You don't wish the days away. You just take them as they come. And I'm looking forward to this weekend against the 49ers, and then we'll worry about what's next after that.
Absolutely. Well, Jimmy will be on the scene covering it. TennesseeTitans.com. The observations from today's practice, if you weren't able to get out here, are already up at TennesseeTitans.com and everything else that the GOAT, Jimmy, writes. We will see you on Saturday. Have a great rest of your evening, and prime time tonight at 7 p.m.